Good morning. Spring in northern Alberta, Canada. Fun times. Albie. These guys are so sick of the snow, as am I. Mother Nature's being mean to me. Not just me. Mother Nature's just being mean in general. I don't know what her problem is this year. So on days like this, it's just always this up and down in the spring here. But we moved the horses to feed them in different areas just to keep them a little bit drier. And I have them on a beet pulp right now. It's a beet pulp and it has vitamin and oil in it. I put a little bit of flax oil in there and extra vitamins to make sure that they get a nice little boost. With the weather changing, I know myself when I go outside and the weather is fluctuating, I always benefit from taking a little bit of extra vitamins and nutrition. So that's what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm going to feed them, if I'm going to feed them hay or give them some cubes. I think I'm going to give them cubes this morning after they're done their breakfast, alfalfa cubes, just because it's a little bit more sheltered. They don't want to go inside. They don't want to be in there at all. They want to be outside. So just, it's asking for a rec to try to put them and lock them up or put them over there when it's too wet. And two, the way the wind is blowing, it's not going to benefit them. They're better off in the trees. I know there's some people that are very concerned about the well-being of animals, but here in our climate, our animals are not used to being stabled and they're just losing their winter coat. So if you put them inside, they're going to be too hot, or if you put them out in the direct without the tree shelter, they're going to be too cold. So you just kind of got to let them show you where they're most comfortable, which seems to be in this bush area. This is why I'm feeding over here, even though I have to pack stuff a long ways. This is where they're most comfortable and where they're finding the best shelter for them, where they're comfortable. So that's what I'm doing. Stay with the chicks and the chickens. I'm actually giving them Vet RX, a double dose of Vet RX. I just kind of keep a jug in there and then I fill this. I put vitamins and stuff in there and then I just fill it throughout the day. It doesn't freeze in here. It's pretty warm. They're pretty comfortable in there. They're a little tick that they can't go outside because they don't like the snow on their feet. But that's what I do. I just give the birds extra vitamins in their water and it doesn't seem to faze them. Snow is coming off. How's your water there, little one? This weather, it is getting very, very agitating. And usually in other years, we've had a green up before we get the big dump of snow, and it's just not letting up. Oh, it's blowing. It's really blowing snow. So it is kind of, I don't know. It's not a typical year, but it's just very validating that having food preservation, food stores is really important for any person who is out on a homestead or out of town where you don't have the convenience to just run in. We've had years where the power lines have been overloaded with snow and we've had no power for several days. I just need to break the water. It's frozen again. Still a disaster in here from our basement flooding. I haven't done anything in here at all. We're still waiting for insurance and all the fun things. So it is a disaster in here so far with the flooding that happened. So what happened with our house is that when this house was originally built in the 80s, the weeping tile was tied into the sewer. And so what happened here, even though we've had substantial amount of water and flooding in our area after the flood of our basement, what was happening is the ground had still been frozen. And what was happening is the weeping tile was dumping into our sewer and our sewer couldn't keep up. And the sewer backed up into the basement. And so since we kind of we put another pump in to keep up with it and to keep the sewer from coming back up. And since then, it hasn't happened again. We've had a lot more water, a lot more flooding, a lot more water come through our yard, and it hasn't come up again. So we know that the sewer is working and functioning properly to be able to keep up now. So we're good there. We're good there. The weeping tile is not filling up our septic tank and making it come into our house. So that's a bonus. Especially since I've been by myself. Tyson's been gone. And there's a cat fight happening in here because they don't want to go outside. They just want to come in here and tear stuff up. So for the horses' breakfast, what I've been doing is I give them one of these of beet pulp. That makes a lot of beet pulp. It'll fill it up to like here. And then what I add a couple gulps, I call them gulps, of this stuff. If necessary, I will give them some Breathe, which is a herbal product to help them with coughing. If with the season changing and such, it helps with coughing. I also give them, it's an all-in-one vitamin, and it has ginger root, rosemary, spearmint, omega-3 oil, alfalfa meal, flax meal, seaweed meal, L-lysine. There's all kinds of things. I don't know if you can see that. So it's got zinc and manganese and copper and turmeric, glucosamine, MSM, sulfates, all the things that they need to be able to combat weather. They really don't like the taste of this stuff that much, but they have to get over it because, yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting 1 scoop in and a half because there's 4 horses and they don't need to get overloaded so that they just pee it out, but they need enough to combat the changing temperatures. Please don't be frozen. Come on, Tap. You can do it. Yes! We have water! And that is probably plenty of water. So, and it will rehydrate and we'll be good to go. I forgot to put the oil in. I let this reconstitute for 24 hours. I don't feed it to them until the next morning. And this will be enough to feed all 4 horses their breakfast. With hay and with alfalfa cubes. The only reason I'm feeding hay and alfalfa cubes to our horses is because our hay is really getting moldy. It's dusty, but it's getting moldy from all the moisture. And so I've been throwing away at least 50%. The one bale I threw like 3/4 of it away. I'll be burning that here so that nothing can get into it and get sick. But yeah, it's been the hay, whatever we have for hay, it's just so saturated. There's such humidity that it's just not, it's not storing well. So I'm feeding cubes to cut down on the amount of hay that I have to feed to try to stretch it so they're getting a really well balanced diet and keeping their gut healthy. For the chickens, I'm gonna put a couple drops of Vet RX. Oops. So I put a few drops of Vet RX. So let's go fill this up. So the chickens and the guineas are all in here hanging out. I have food there, so they can have a place to chill. I just brought some water out here with some BetRx in it for them. We have a bunch of eggs to collect. So rinse this out. Rinse, rinse, rinse. How fun is doing chores with me? This way, the water will stay unfrozen. It was a little bit frozen actually. I had to break it, so I'm kind of worried about the eggs, but they're probably fine. There, guys. There you go. Now you can be nice. She's molting. I'm surprised she's still laying eggs. Be nice, Guinea. You're so mean. They just do this all day. Round and around and around. Well, that rooster just sits there usually and nothing. They will get along eventually. He gets distracted very easily. And he's scared of the red hens. Play nice, you guys. That's why I put feed out here so that they can have some place to hang out while the Guinea rooster is not distracted and focused on them. It's getting much better. They're getting along much better than they did before. So the red hens lay a little licking on him and then he's all good. Some eggs this morning, girly girl. So I'm kind of at the point in the homesteading journey or hobby farm journey where I'm looking at my preserves from last year. I'm taking note of what I have left over, what I've been using, what I need to learn to use more in a daily routine. I still have a lot of food here left over. Like there's well over, I think in total I have over 200 jars still with food in it throughout my whole pantry, preserves, storage. So there's lots of stuff left over, but it's a lot of things that I really do need to inventory. Like I'm not going to be making pickles this year. You can see I have a ton of pickles. Those are still from last year. We use those a lot when we go boating or in the summertime, so those will stay. I might make a small batch, or I might make a batch of like a bread and butter pickle this year and then next year do dills kind of thing. I have a lot of tomato products, which is why I cut down my tomato growing substantially, because I have a lot of tomatoes still in the freezer to process. So there's that. But I am thinking about starting to, when we have these crappy days, to get the pressure canner out, start canning some potatoes, because I need to start going through the potatoes of what I'm going to use for seed potatoes, which is right here. I need to start going through them. They're all sprouting, and so I need to get them sorted. Also want to go through my potatoes and keep any potential seed potatoes, some that are really firm, some that have nice small eyes that store really, really well. I want to put back into my garden the ones that have no disease and that have a very long storage life. And that's kind of what I'm doing this year to eliminate or to improve my storage ability. I bought seed potatoes last year, so I lost that ability to kind of keep the longevity going with what I'm seeding. This year I have that opportunity because I have an abundance of potatoes that I can put back into my farm and into my homestead, and so I'm able to use the use the ones that are the firmest, the nicest, the best ones, the ones that you want to keep for eating. Those are the ones I'm going to take a bunch of them and I'm going to put those back in so I can do it all over again for next year. And whatever scraps is, I'm going to boil it up, blend it up, mix it in with some dirt, do the fermentation like I did in the previous video, make a fertilizer, a homemade fertilizer to incubate microbiome, and then I'm going to put that all over on my garden space. And I will do that again here soon in another video. Another thing I need to do is begin to get prepared for doing some smoking and find my small jars. So it is spring. This is the time of the year where the water is really cold. So the fish here are really good. So what we can do is we can catch some fish, smoke them and pressure can them, or we can just can them. So I do want to smoke some chickens and do some preservation. It's not going to be for a few months, but we will be processing some of our chickens that we have, just the roos. We're going to be processing them. I have another batch of incubating to do so that we have a batch in the fall to process and do that. So one of the other things I need to do is inventory what I have left over. So we don't have a lot of beef left over. I need to kind of get that planned out for when I start harvesting. I want to get my freezer completely cleaned out so I can do a defrost. So I'm gonna have to kind of condense everything, which makes it challenging. Because we had the flooded basement, it's really hard to kind of navigate around here until we kind of get things sorted out and everything. Once it starts raining or stops raining, then we can pull everything out and just lay it out and sort it. We just don't have the space to do that right now and whatnot. I could start filling the dumpster, but I don't want to pack stuff in and out, getting soaking wet during this nasty weather. So I'm just kind of picking other jobs to do. Since it will be since I'm going to be here mostly by myself for dinners and everything like that, I think I'm just going to take out a small pack of chicken, and then I can do some food prep and have this for the week for my lunches and stuff like that, and then have some extra just in case Tyson is home for supper or something. And there's not much ground beef left either. Got to do some more food prep. My baked spaghetti is whenever I make spaghetti, I make a big batch, and then I make them into baked spaghetti for leftovers, and I freeze them as food prep. Good tip. It's my favorite hack. I really do need to go through the things. So one thing that I've learned about the homestead kind of lifestyle, it is a lot of work, and it is a family thing to do, and it is very easy to get burnout. It is very easy to get discouraged. It's very easy to just lose sight of the goal and the purpose. I mean, it would be so stinking easy to just move into town and go to the grocery store and do all the things, but you know what, in the same sense, I would still have road closures to deal with. I would still have things on the shelves that were not available. Same set of problems in that sense. So I'm grateful that I have freedom to grow what I can, what I have, what I want to preserve what I have, what I want to make what I want to. It sucks, I mean, there's been a lot of houses in town that have flooded. There's been a ton of houses in town that have flooded, and a lot of them are not covered by insurance because insurance does not cover floods. They will only cover sewer backup, which luckily ours was a sewer backup, and it wasn't from flooding of water coming through our home from outside. If that was the case, we would have not been insured whatsoever. And there's a lot of people in our area right now that are faced with that. And it's very devastating. And a lot of them don't live on the farm. A lot of them do live in town. I did come to the realization that there are things that a person should not put off. For an example, you know, there was a lot of things that I had put in storage that I didn't want to go through emotionally, mentally, physically. I just did not want to or have the energy to go through some of the things that I had to go through. There was actually even some things from my dad from a long time ago when he passed away that I hadn't gone through and I put in storage, and I still to this day hadn't gone through it because it was just like, I don't want to do it. And you know, there's a few things from certain people that meant a lot to me that I've lost in the recent, you know, few months or past few years. And they got wet and had to be tossed. And I basically took that opportunity away from myself, to, you know, do the work to just sit down and go through it, even if it was hard and emotional. I should have just done it because now I don't have the chance. And I think that, you know, it's a big lesson, I think, this year for all of us, that even if it's hard, even if you're not certain if you're going to be able to get through the task at hand, just to keep pushing forward, keep pushing through, because on the other side of it, the circumstances may be even worse than you're facing to just do it in the first place. And so I definitely learned that lesson through this flooding, that there's a lot of things that I've taken for granted with just having things put in storage, things, I'll get to it later, I'll do it later. But sometimes, you know, it was just a flood that taught us the lesson that there is always something later. You know, it could have been something else. An example, the day before yesterday, Tyson hit a moose driving, and you know, that could have been a lot worse. I've hit a moose before, and it was pretty scary and pretty serious. I know many people that have lost their life from hitting a moose, and you know, I'm just grateful it wasn't something like that taught us that lesson to not put things off and procrastinate, because you're not guaranteed to have a later to get it done. And the things that are troubling or bothersome, or the things that, you know, you don't want to get emotional over, sometimes you just got to kick yourself in the butt and get to it. That's my deep thoughts for today. I don't know if it'll do any good, but if you listen to them, thank you for listening to my rambling. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And I know it wasn't a very exciting vlog, but I just wanted to say hi and just give you an update of what's been going on here. And I hope that it was inspiring in some way, shape, or form. Much love to you. Bye for now.